Hello everyone, it is I, Mark S.W. Welcome to my review of 2020. As we start 2021, I thought I'd share my views. Normally I do like a top 5 moments of a year, but because not much has happened in 2020, I'm just going to do a quick review. Now, I think it's pretty obvious, isn't it? 2020, it hasn't been a good year. Mind you, I've been through worse. 1995 to 2006 comes to mind. I mean, yes, that was my school era, but it still counts. But also keep in mind there have been years worse than 2020. 1914 to 1918, 1939 to 1945, 1986, 2001, 2016. Now, I know some people were alive in those years, but that's not the point. The point is, 2020 wasn't the first, and it won't be the last worst year ever. Also, it hasn't been that bad. There have been some good moments. I mean, the finale of Thunderbirds Are Go. We got to see the Zero XL and, at last, Jeff Tracy. I went back to the VidCon London event, this time as a creator. I introduced Among Us to my family, and they love it. I also made a contribution to the Escape the Night board game. I can't wait to play it. 2020 was my 30th birthday, and in all honesty, it's been my best birthday ever. I had a really good one. For those of you who are watching this in the future and who haven't been paying attention in history, the reason why 2020 has been considered the worst year is because of the virus, COVID-19, or as I like to call it, the peach plague. It's my way of insulting the virus. Now, I know some of you are saying, but hang on, peach is a nice word. Not if you're from Albania, because in Albania, peach means lady garden, aka the C word. And if you don't believe me, you need to watch the Top Gear episode when they go to Albania to find a suitable car for the leader of the mafia. Now, I agree that COVID-19 is bad, but you have to remember, I'm autistic. I've been in worse situations than this. For example, like many autistic people, I have lots of fears and phobias. One of them is roller coaster rides that go upside down. Now, when I was 13, my family got invited to a day trip to a theme park. I think it was Drayton Manor. And my parents forced me on a roller coaster ride that went upside down. Now, they knew I was scared of them, but like all parents, they rule with an iron fist and the child has to do as they're told. And it was horrible. I know some people have to face their fears, and to them it's scary. But to me, it was terrifying. It's something I wish I could forget, but I can't. So, COVID-19, the virus hasn't affected my life that much. It actually has some silver linings, to be honest. For a start, I don't have a job. And I can't get one because these days, if you want a job, you've got to be good at everything. And that's not fair. Even if I could get a job, it would mean having to give up my YouTube channel, and I don't want to do that. Another good point is that because I'm autistic, I really struggle with social situations. I always get anxious and worried because I don't know what to say. It's like, when you go on a date, you've got to say the right words, otherwise you're never going to see he or she again. It's alright if we're talking about things that I'm into, so I'm willing to join in that kind of conversation, but if it's something that isn't of interest, then I just turn off, really. An interesting thing though, I've got a friend on YouTube called Says, and although she's autistic, she likes social situations, so it'll be interesting to see how does she cope with them. What's her survival skill, if you know what I mean. Another good point is that usually autistic people don't like noisy, crowded areas. And that's true, I don't like noisy crowds. It's different when I go to an event or a convention because the location is big and has more space, so you're not crammed in. If you're in like a place like the London Underground, that's just awful, you're standing, you're all crushed together, and you have that horrible smell, of that flesh, human meat. Ugh, disgusting. Now, because of this, we have to wear masks, which I don't mind, because I've got a nice mask here. It's one of those fabric ones because I once tried the ones with the straps when I was doing some spray painting. It is very itchy and uncomfortable for my ears though. That's why I prefer these. A nice fabric one, so you can easily wash it. As you can see, I've gone for this orange colour. I describe this as my impression of Terence the Tractor from Thomas the Tank Engine. You know, when he's wearing his snowplow. In fact, I actually created a Thomas meme about face masks, where wearing a face mask is a bit like wearing a snowplow, and you mustn't make the same mistake that Thomas made when he thought he didn't need one. The only thing is, I can only wear my mask for a short time. So if I was going to my local shop to buy supplies, or if I was going to do a quick train journey, say from Leicester, where I'm from, to Birmingham or Nottingham. Now that's okay, because it's nice and short. Because the thing is, if I wear it for too long, I easily get dehydrated. Also, another thing is, with a mask, I don't know if any of you have noticed this, but sometimes I wear glasses. Usually when you wear the mask and the glasses at the same time, the glasses sort of fog up, so you can't see a thing. You end up having to take them off and wipe them, which is why I prefer these face shields. These are much better. And you may have noticed I've made my own custom banners to replace all that blue lumbo jumbo. There we go. I don't know if you can see me because of the light. I have to tilt my head a bit. There we are. See, I prefer these. These are much better. They're more futuristic and much cooler. And of course, I've made some other custom banners. So this one talks about me being autistic. I've also made some that insult the virus. So this one, COVID-19, naff off. And then this one, my personal favourite, get stuffed. After all, we all want it to go away. So with this face shield, it's much easier than a mask because now I can eat and drink. Plus, you can actually see my full face because the problem with masks is that usually they're worn by criminals. So when all this is over, wearing masks will be illegal. But for the time being, when you go to a bank, how do you convince the staff that you're not a bank robber? Yes, I'm wearing a mask, but I'm not carrying a shotgun. I'm not a criminal. I just want to put this check in my account. That must be very difficult. The only thing that does bother me about COVID-19 is that I do wish people would stop talking about it. It's like listening to one of those rants by Heather Mills. You're like going, oh, for God's sake, do shut up, you whining pillock. Why do they have to keep talking about it? I mean, I said this in my video on World Autism Awareness Day. Constant negative news is very bad for morale. So stop giving us all this depressing crap. Just give us the updates in a quick, simple and blunt way. Like when James May talks about the Dacia Sandero. Oh, good news! What? The vaccine for COVID-19 will be available in March. Excellent! Now, I went on the internet and I found this.
Whoa, what's it?
You see, why can't they do it like that? It'll be much better. Also, I mentioned this in my autistic video. I'm fed up with hearing the same safety warnings over and over again. I'm like, yes, we get the message. Honestly, do they have to rub it in? Plus the way the messages are being delivered, I don't think they're being done in a nice way. Like they say, wear a mask. Well, some people can't wear a mask. So the polite way to do it would be, wear a mask if you can, or if it's possible, work from home. See, that's much nicer. People have been saying that during these difficult times, we should be kind to others and be more friendly. Yet, somehow I don't think that's working. In my opinion, I think the virus has brought out the worst in a lot of people. It's like, you know, when you go to secondary school, you sort of start losing your innocence and your niceness. You start developing a bit of badness. It's like that, only a lot worse. Because apart from the virus, there have been other bad things that have been going on around the world. And of course, the main one is the racism. And that's disgraceful, because you think racism would have been put to an end, but apparently not. There's still some horrible people out there. I'd like to take this opportunity to say that some of my closest friends are black, so don't mess with them. Because if you mess with them, you're messing with me. When I left school, I sort of took an oath that I would protect people and stand up against bullies, because I hate bullies. Unfortunately, it gets worse because it's not just black people who are being victims, it's also Chinese people. You see, because COVID-19 started in China, and because the Chinese have refused to apologize or take any responsibility for it, people are being horrible to them, especially the Americans, which is why that former president, the idiot Trump, he called it the China virus, or Chinese virus, or one or the other, and he was going to ban several items that come from China, like TikTok. Well, that's just wrong. That doesn't help. Whether it's their fault or not, that's no excuse for racism. It's kind of like with the Germans. Yes, they dropped bombs on us in the 1940s, but that doesn't mean we can be horrible to them every single day. Now, I know we do make jokes about it. I mean, we British, we do it all the time. It's a sort of tradition, but they're perfectly harmless. And of course, we'll be making jokes about the virus. The only thing is we just got to be careful because these days, some people can't take a joke. In my opinion, though, there are two groups of people we should blame. The first one is the British government, because they didn't listen to their scientific advisors, and if they did, they could have taken necessary precautions at an earlier date. You see, here in the UK, our government is led by a group of people called the Conservative Party. They're a bit like the Republicans in America. They don't care about other people but themselves. They're only into power, they're selfish, they're fascists, they hate people with disabilities, and their leaders are fat, stupid men with really dodgy haircuts. Which is why I'll be glad when we get to 2024 so we can vote them out. Just because I hate the Conservative Party, that doesn't mean that I'm a communist. Mind you, that would be pretty cool. Just not in a Joseph Stalin way. I'm thinking more like a Karl Marx way. The other group of people that we should blame is the public. I mean, it's their fault. They voted for the Conservatives, believing all those lies about Brexit and saying that we'll be safe. But more than that, they've actually been deliberately ignoring the quarantine rules and haven't been social distancing. For example, the gathering at Westminster Bridge so they can clap. Are they mad? That's like having unprotected sex in Doncaster. Now, I've done some research, and you can bend some of the rules. You don't have to follow them all. I mean, just because we're in a bit of a crisis doesn't mean you have to live in a dictatorship. For example, when you're wearing your mask, you don't have to wear it the moment you step outside. I mean, it's not like a spacesuit. You only need to wear it if you're going somewhere that's very crowded, like a shop, or in the centre of town, or somewhere that has a place of interest, like a museum. Because some places of interest are open. You can still visit, you just have to book in advance. Of course, some people are going, why bother opening them if we still have to wear masks and keep our distance? Well, true, but the trouble is these places need the money to pay the staff and maintain the buildings. If they don't get the money, then they'll have to close permanently. So, for example, the National Space Centre in my hometown, it's still running, but if it didn't get the money, then that means me and my friends, we've got nowhere else to go for future conventions. Another thing you can still do, you can still go on holiday. I mean, my friend Vanessa, she went on holiday to the Czech Republic this year. So you can still travel, probably just short distances. So, for example, if you're from the UK, you could probably visit countries in Europe. But my advice would be that when you come back from holiday, quarantine yourself for a couple of weeks, just as a precaution. Now, as for myself, I'm probably going to start bending some of the rules too. In fact, I need to, because I've made a very stupid mistake and have taken the rules too seriously. You see, apart from going to my local shop to buy supplies, I haven't left the house since March. The whole point is to leave the house unless it's absolutely, positively necessary. Usually I used to go on short walks and play Pokemon Go, but because technically that's not essential, I haven't been doing that. And I've pretty much been indoors for the whole summer, so I've missed a lot of good weather. I mean, I've been out in the garden for an hour or two, but that's not good enough. To be honest, I have been getting 1 or 2 signs that my vitamin D level is low, and that can be very dangerous. So, like I said, I'm going to have to start bending the rules and go outside even if it's not essential. I've got to start getting more vitamin D and looking after myself, which means I need to start going back to my walks. And also, because of this, I may have to burn out for a while, so there might not be any new videos on my channel for some time. But I will come back, honest. I just need time to recover and recuperate, so to speak, about a month or two. Also, as we start 2021, a lot of people are hoping that it will be a better year. I do have one concern. There is something that does worry me. 2021 will mark the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 terrorist attack in New York and the 10th anniversary of the 3/11 nuclear tsunami disaster in Japan. What worries me is that something similar could happen in 2021. And what's even more scary, it could happen on the 11th day. Now, I know a lot of you are saying, it's probably just a coincidence that they happened on the 11th. Maybe, but it's just that I have a tendency to detect patterns in things. So I could be wrong. I hope I am wrong. Which is why my advice for when we start the new year is proceed with caution. It's just a pity that all this bad stuff is happening now, because if it happened in 2022, that would be okay, because I have something special planned for 22 where I don't need to go outside at all. I can do it indoors. But that's another story. There's also something else I want to get off my chest, because with all this bad stuff that's been happening in 2020, I've reached a point where, pardon my French, I don't often do this on my channel, but I don't give a shit about the coronavirus, or the tears, or those stupid conservatives. I refuse to be the virus's bitch, which is why I also made another cover for my face shield. COVID-19, I'm going to own you, bitch! I refuse to let you push me around. Bit of a personal note, a member of my family is getting married in 2021, and I won't let the virus ruin it. Also, I have a best friend who I haven't seen in 2020. I care about her and I love her, and I don't want anything bad to happen to her. If she's watching, I promise I will come and see you. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I promise I will. I want to see you again. So guys, thanks for watching my 2020 review. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, bell icon, and follow me on social sites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Hopefully we'll have a good 2021. I'm not going to say any of those safety warnings because I think by now you're probably bored with hearing with them. All I'll say is keep calm and carry on. That's the one I've always lived by. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the future. Over and out.